Hi everyone, it's Jerry. This is a round 2 game from Freestyle Chess Grand Slam Tour 2025 Paris edition. On the white end, Arjun Erigaisi playing against Magnus Carlsen. So this was from the round robin portion. Start position here, 591. A couple notes about this arrangement before we get rolling. There are no unprotected pawns. There are, however, unprotected pieces. This will show up shortly in the game. Cornered bishops experience an issue. This is what really has my attention with this arrangement. The bishops don't have to move in order to be productive. You just have to make a couple key pawn moves and you're golden. Now, the start here in this game is f4. Very healthy. You can't ask a whole lot more out of move number 1 with this arrangement. The bishop is happy, and there is also some central influence. Notice going a single step, okay, cool for this bishop, but what about this guy? You're getting in the way. So the f-pawn should go 2 steps, and white should look forward to a later g3 or maybe even g4 to free the light square bishop. Very complicated variant here, working with this rapid 10+5 time control. We see this with the how it plays out in the game. After only 10 moves, Carlsen is in a losing position. Let's see how it goes south for him here. This was his only loss in the round robin portion, so these type of games normally grab my attention. How exactly is he losing when he is losing? He starts out here with b6. Not the only way. Shooting for that setup is cool as well, freeing both diagonals for black's bishops. But this was Carlsen's start, a window here for him to say, you're in a pin. G-pawn can't move so easily. Follow up here, e4. Pawn duo. Typically, you should look to challenge it straight away, and we see just that in this game. f5 here is the response, sort of playing in gambit style. What's also worth mentioning with this arrangement, one other note here, what direction to castle? Do you castle towards the G file or the C file? What's most likely to occur is C file castles, because you only need to move the knight and you're ready to go. Castling towards the C file. If you wanted to castle towards the king side, another way to look at it, you'd have to clear out the bishop and knight, and by moving the bishop, you're not really improving that piece when you play bishop to f2 in order to castle a king side. So it seems like castling towards the C file is most likely to occur. Carlsen immediately challenges the duo. Get the capture on f5. In comes knight d6, knight e3. Doesn't seem to be any great inconvenience to white. Okay, I developed a piece. I'm defending your threat. Carlsen increases the pressure with that lesser valued pawn, this flank pawn. And you can't support f5 because you're in that pin, unprotected piece. So white takes on g6. Black is helped to tick. Knight is now developed. Throwing a punch. Once more, doesn't seem like a great inconvenience to white. Gets to develop and defend the pawn. Now some action in the center. In comes e5. Black has a slight lead in development, we might say. This diagonal already open for the bishop. Not this one here for white. And also there's a big difference here with the queens. White queen still doesn't have a move. So this is a moment, going for ideas like this. Let's try and open up that position when my queen is much more active. White's response here is f5. Not so quick to initiate this exchange and go into a completely wide open position. Play here is with f5. If you take on e5, how might this look? We would get some exchanges here on e5. Maybe white at this point plays bishop f2 so that this piece here is defended and you could move the pawn. This is what the computer has its eye on. Some quick reposition of the queen, and there you go. It's calling this around even. Look at the beautiful development here for black, just a moment away from castles. Queen, white queen here, still without a move. All right, white not so quick to allow that opening up of the position. Let's keep it a bit on the close side because I need to play catch up still in developing my pieces. So f5, in comes e4. This is now a window for white. Pin the pawn. In comes g3. You don't have to react to this threat. Queen hangs. Follow up from here, knight e7. Knight e5. Computer wants to play knight e7. And it's looking at this line here, going after the f pawn, follow up d3, knight d6. There's a battle that ensues from there over the e4 pawn. Calls it around minus 0.2. Carlsen not so quick to hit that reverse button. The response here to g3, knight e5. Pair of knights off. And similar to when black planted something here on the e file, on this e4 square, we got this pin. Well, there's a rook on e5. White says, how do you like it? You're in a pin now. This is a big moment in the game. We're looking, fishing now for his 10th move. Let me throw this one to you as a pop quiz. What would be your move here? Feel free to pause the video. Okay, Carlsen's decision here, big blunder. He, of course, saw what was right around the corner, this idea to go after this pinned rook, but I believe it's a case here where he misevaluated the compensation he would have for the material loss. He ends up castling here. What the computer wants to play is h5, cutting out this knight g4 idea, targeting the pinned rook, or bishop to f7, preparing to meet knight g4 with a pin of the knight. None of the above in this game. Carlsen goes with castles. Knight g4 follows. He certainly saw that this was coming, so let's see how it plays out here. Rook takes f5, queen takes bishop, and Carlsen swipes the b pawn, and as it turns out, even this a pawn. So what we're looking at here, imbalance, the imbalance we're looking at, a dark square bishop versus two pawns. But the white pieces are all very active. So in swiping these a and b pawns, this rook springs to life. Very healthy white pieces here, and it's the white queen, in fact, through this series of exchanges, who is now a much more active piece. Okay, from here we have knight to f6. This is very clean technique, by the way, what Erigaisi is doing here. There is a tempting move rather than knight to f6. That tempting move being bishop captures b6, taking advantage of these two pins on the A and C file. But all right, it starts to get a little bit maybe messy, unnecessary to go for a line like this, maybe a bit too complicated. Knight b5 could be a follow-up here, trying to kick the queen off of the C file. Queen b2, pawn takes bishop. It says this is still winning for white with a follow-up capture on e4 and a fork. Forget about that. There is a cleaner way. Erigaisi's way. He goes with knight to f6. I just want to take the pawn. That's all. 3 attackers, 2 defenders. This is a perfect move. You have the support. Carlsen's play, knight to b5. What other option is there? How are you supposed to defend e4? If you play bishop to d5, an approach here for white is to bother the rook. This knight move here to f6 is cutting the rook off from any escape squares here on the f file. If bishop d5 was played here, you could start bugging that rook. g4. And what do you do with the rook? Rook f4, bishop e3. Rook g5, there's h4. And maybe after the rook is kicked from its defense of the bishop, you swipe the bishop and then gobble up a pawn. Threaten mate on c7. However you slice it, black is in hot water here. Very clean technique. Knight f6, knight b5, queen b2, keeping pressure on something. There's an issue here still on e4. We're looking at now 3 attackers, 1 defenders. It's ready to go down for the count. What's the try from here? We have d5. All right. Saying what exactly? You take my knight, I take yours? Well, hang on. Maybe I just want to win a piece for free. Perfect follow-up in this game, g4. You release the pressure on the knight, I just win your knight. Rook f4, bishop e3. It's not a stable square. These bishops cover a lot of ground. So the try from here is to give up some material, more material, and the imbalance we're now looking at, aside from this dark square bishop versus knight, it's a rook versus 2 pawns. From here, black goes with queen c6. You could pick up this pawn here, a 3rd pawn for the rook, but white is, of course, still for choice. So something like this, computer is drawn to c4 to break up black's center. Black sets up a little trick here, activates the queen. All right, now this is a serious threat. Ready to win the queen. Not going to happen. King c1, no bishop checks, no knight checks. From here, rook d7. You could afford these slower moves now as white. It is under control, just babysitting the g4 pawn. From here, king b7. However you slice it, the king is going to be vulnerable one way or another. Black's getting out of any back rank checks, but at the same time you are opposite this cornered bishop. From here, slight improvement, maybe a new diagonal nearby. In comes queen d6, rook f1, offer of a queen exchange, declined, perfect post right in the center, pressure on the bishop, that's defended. In comes rook f6, and the last little try here by Carlsen, knight a3. So what do you do here? Well, again, clean technique here by Erigaisi. He addresses this invasive knight. Queen b2, offering a queen exchange, looking to get rid of this knight. Much better than swiping this bishop. If you're capturing this bishop, okay, what exactly are you doing here? There's some pressure that black has on these 2 points. The queen is under fire, unnecessary to go for such a line. He sniffs that out. Let's deal with this pesky knight, queen b2. Last little try here by Carlsen, knight takes c2. In the game, it's king takes knight. Now, if queen takes knight, this would actually be a draw. How is this looking? Kind of interesting here. Yeah, the computer says this here, a draw. 2 rooks, 2 bishops versus a queen. She's very active. It's looking at a check on c4, b3, maybe even g3, maybe even some f4 check if the king is on f1. All right, it calls it even. Unnecessary to go for such a line. So the clean approach here, after the capture here on c2, king takes knight, and after the check you hide on b1, queen's ready to be exchanged. Black cannot afford a queen exchange. Queen c4 played, but after bishop to f1, black resigns. There's no saving the queen. She's ready to fall. I mean, you could save the queen if the game continued with queen b4, but we would be looking at what? 3 pawns versus a dark square bishop and rook imbalance. Completely winning here for white. All right, in this one, though, we only go as far as bishop f1, and Carlsen resigned. So this carried on. This was in total a 29 mover, but this one was over after only 10 moves. Anyhow, what are your thoughts with this one? Feel free, as usual, to leave any feedback to this video in the comment section below. Hope you enjoyed it and maybe took a thing or two away. That's all for now. Take care.